I don't care if she's sick, my sister snapped, her voice echoing through the living room. Dad allowed it. We're taking everything we like. I was lying on the couch, burning up with a 104 degrees Fahrenheit fever, my skin damp and trembling, lips cracked. My voice barely came out. Take it, I whispered. Mom didn't look at me. She was already in my bathroom, grabbing my skincare, my unopened perfume, the little luxuries I'd bought over the years. My sister ripped open my drawers like they were hers, stuffing armfuls of dresses into her tote. I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling, heart pounding so slowly I could count each beat. They weren't here to help me. They were here to strip me. I heard the front door click open again. Dad's heavy footsteps. The pause. The long silence as he reached the hallway. Then, Scarlett. He stepped into my bedroom and froze. The room was ransacked. My body limp. My skin pale and burning. A trail of my things led to the hallway. Dad turned toward the living room. What the hell is this? Mom's face blanched. I was too weak to sit up, but I didn't need to, because for the first time, he finally saw me. I said, "What the hell is this?" Dad repeated, louder now. My sister smirked until she saw his face. Mom tried to speak first. She said we could take it. She told us. Take it, didn't she? Dad looked at me. I nodded faintly. I did. I rasped. But why? He demanded, stepping over scattered shoes and lipsticks. Why would you let them, Scarlett? Are you even able to stand? I tried. I failed. My body folded like a dying flower. Dad rushed forward and caught me just before I hit the hardwood. That was when he touched my forehead and froze again. Jesus Christ, she's burning up. She's delirious. He turned toward my mother like she was a stranger. You walked past her. You saw her like this. And you still went through her stuff? Mom went quiet. I'm calling an ambulance, he said. Don't overreact, Mom barked, suddenly defensive. She's always dramatic. Dad's glare cut her off cold. Get out. But get out of this apartment before I drag you out. They didn't believe him until he started dialing. They left, fuming. He stayed, holding a cold towel to my forehead. And for the first time since I was 16, he didn't look like their husband. He looked like my father again. I stayed in bed for 3 days. My fever broke sometime between dawn and dusk, with Dad sleeping upright in a chair beside me, like a watchdog that refused to blink. He barely left my side. When he did, I'd find soup on the nightstand, fresh towels, my meds sorted in a dish. It was strange, not just because he was present, but because for years he hadn't been. He'd always taken Mom's side, laughed at her jokes about me being overly sensitive, sat quietly while my sister borrowed and broke everything I ever owned. He funded their chaos, dismissed my tears. But now something shifted. The 4th morning, I woke to his voice, low, shaking. He was on the phone. I saw it with my own eyes. They walked past her like she was garbage. Like she didn't even exist. Pause. I don't care how long I've been married. You don't treat your child like that. Not while I'm still breathing. I shut my eyes and let a tear slide into my pillow. Not from pain, from shock. Because maybe, just maybe, someone had finally stood up for me. But that flicker of hope? It barely lit the room. Because later that day, Mom came back. And she wasn't alone. They didn't knock. The door just flew open like they still owned the air I breathed. My sister walked in first, sunglasses perched like a crown, holding her phone up like she was filming a documentary. Mom trailed behind her, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. Get that camera out of my face, Dad snapped, rising. Oh, we're recording, my sister sneered. In case you forget how you've suddenly turned on your real family. Dad laughed, a bitter, low sound I'd never heard from him before. You're calling yourselves her family? You tried to rob her while she was half dead. Mom threw a folder on the coffee table. Let's not pretend she's innocent. She's been manipulating you with this sick act long enough. I sat up, my voice still raw. What's that? Mom smiled. Eviction notice. This apartment's in your father's name. You don't pay rent. Legally, you're a guest. Dad's face drained of color. You forged my signature? No, Mom said sweetly. I filed it before your little breakdown. Before you went soft. My breath caught. She'd planned this. Let's go, Scarlett, my sister said. You can crash in some motel. I stood, wobbled, and whispered, no, because they forgot. I wasn't 16 anymore, and I didn't need the door to be open to know how to close it. Dad stared at me. You don't have to fight them. I shook my head. I'm not fighting. I'm finishing something. I picked up the eviction notice, read every line, then reached under my bed and pulled out a black folder. See, I said, this apartment isn't actually under your name anymore, Dad. Mom blinked. What? I opened the folder slowly. Remember 6 months ago, when you signed that refinancing paperwork for me after I got promoted? I tapped the page. You didn't just co-sign. You transferred full ownership. His eyes widened. My sister laughed. No way. But it wasn't a bluff. I handed them a notarized deed. This apartment is mine, I said, voice steady. I just hadn't recorded it yet. But I will. Tomorrow morning. Mom's face twisted. You ungrateful little. Careful. Dad cut in, eyes like steel. She didn't betray this family. You did. That's when I walked past them, opened the front door, and with the calmest voice I'd ever used, I said, you have 60 seconds. Then I call building security. Mom glared. Sister hissed. But they left, because they weren't in charge anymore. And I wasn't scared to let them know. They never had been. That night, I slept like I hadn't in years. No banging doors. No whispered insults from the hallway. No missing clothes or broken bottles in the bathroom sink. Just silence. The next morning, I went down to the county office and recorded the deed. It was mine now, legally, permanently, untouchably mine. Dad came with me. He didn't say much, just walked a step behind like some quiet guard dog. When we stepped outside, he cleared his throat. I didn't know, he said, about what they were doing, about what I became. I looked at him, searching for old wounds in a man who finally seemed human. You didn't want to know. He didn't deny it. I want to do better, he said quietly. If you'll let me. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no. Instead, I invited him for dinner. Just him. That evening, I cooked. Nothing fancy. Soup, toast, ginger tea. The kind of meal you make when you're learning to breathe again. He helped wash dishes. He even smiled once. But just as he was leaving, I got a text. From my mother. One line. You think you've won? You have no idea what you've started. I stared at it for a long time and whispered, neither do you. The next week, odd things started happening. My work laptop froze mid-presentation. My bank card declined twice in one day, even though I had more than enough funds. A client canceled a long-standing contract with no explanation. And then came the final blow. A formal complaint filed at my job, anonymous, but packed with just enough truth to be dangerous. False accusations, twisted timelines, fabricated emails. It was surgical. I didn't need a signature to know whose fingerprints were all over it. My mother didn't throw punches. She planted traps. Silent, strategic, smiling while she watched you fall in. But this time I was ready. I filed a formal report with HR, including copies of every threat she'd texted. I hired a cybersecurity specialist to track logins, IP addresses, and metadata. And when we traced a tampered email back to my old family desktop, the investigator raised an eyebrow. Do you want to press charges? I thought about it, then shook my head. No, I said. Let her think she's winning. Because some people need an audience for their downfall. And my mother? She was about to get the performance of a lifetime. I didn't retaliate. Not directly. Instead, I waited just like she taught me. My mom and sister had one addiction greater than control: attention. They flaunted every fabricated lie, every twisting of truth, until they couldn't tell where the mask ended and their real faces began. So I exposed nothing. I simply stepped back and let them speak. Online, in public, at family events. They mocked me openly, fabricated stories, even posted screenshots, ones they doctored so poorly my HR rep laughed mid-meeting. Eventually, their noise reached the ears of people they cared about. Their charity board, their real estate partners, even a journalist friend of mine who quietly slid a question into a podcast interview. So, about those impersonation charges your name's now attached to? The fallout wasn't loud. It was quiet, corporate, legal, frozen bank accounts, IRS audits, a defamation lawsuit they didn't see coming. Not from me, but from my employer, whose name they defamed. I never raised my voice, never sent a single warning, but I made sure they watched as every bridge they built with lies burned from both ends. And when I finally blocked them all, it wasn't revenge. It was closure. My silence wasn't weakness. It was power.